Another insanely hilarious Cooligans podcast is about to
Alexis
start.
is certain. He doesn't even. We don't even have to wait till the end and
What are we
say it
gonna-
was funny.
What are we gonna have, a serious one? It's us.
we're pretty. We're nothing. If anything, we're not consistent. You know what I mean? We nail it week after
Every
week.
time.
Okay.
You set the bar and we go right under it.
Okay. We're playing limbo. Or
Yeah.
Whatever. What's good, everybody? Welcome.
It's the Cooligans, buddy.
Your
Come on.
your favorite comedic soccer program. Okay. I mean, there aren't.
Program sounds more official.
Okay. Yeah, dude. This is like they say. Do they say program in England? They say pro.
They probably throw an extra U in there somewhere. Or don't they have an E at the end of it?
Yeah,
two M's and an E.
Yeah.
You're doing too much, England.
Why, you think we just have letters to spare?
Damn. Why have it in there if you ain't even saying it? It's not a program of me,
We're excited to be here. This is
You're
our
a Christian,
only show.
I'm Alexis.
Yes, we're excited. I wasn't going to say that, but yes. We excited to be here, but we only have one episode this week, so this episode is going to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So there's, it was MLK Day on Monday, and all your favorite brands chimed in, so you always love to see it.
Which brand wants more sales in the black community?
Thank you, oatmeal raisin cookies for sharing your favorite MLK quote.
I was sitting here like, I don't even know how to say. Wait a minute, The Gap has just posted an X.
What does Huffy Bikes have to say?
Yeah.
I'm glad they are an ally.
Yeah.
So we have.
Meanwhile, Harley Davidson, quiet. I'm guessing. I honestly don't know.
So the today's episode is gonna be dope because we have an incredible guest. We're gonna be joined by Mark Wright, who is a journalist, a documentarian, and we're gonna talk about the new podcast that he is a part of, the Bison Project, which is called on Sports Explains the World.
Absolutely incredible.
A Meadowlark Media endeavor. So you can
home team making huge, dope podcasts that are
Exactly.
serialized and have a ton of great information.
So I love how serialized is now a part of the lexicon. You know?
I keep saying it as if it is. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
But it is a dope podcast that focuses on the Howard University men's soccer team in 1981 when they won the title. 71, sorry.
Yeah.
That they won the title and they were stripped of that title, and it's a fascinating story, and we will talk to him about it. So Mark Wright will be with us in a bit. But let's talk a little bit stuff going on in the footy world. First, we have to start with we mentioned this briefly last week that Jordan Henderson, who plays for Al
Al-Attifaq.
Al Ittifaq, yeah.
Al Attifaq,
Which is Steven Gerrard's team.
Yes, he is the manager there. But Jordan Henderson dealt with a lot of criticism for joining the team because obviously of the LGBT rights issues that are happening in Saudi Arabia.
Which he was a big champion of.
Yeah, so
until he got that bad.
everybody he saw the check, he's like, oh well, dang, that bad.
Yeah. I mean, they don't need to go to every country.
Okay, and now it's official. Fabrizio Romano had put out the tweet that Jordan Henderson is done at Al Attifaq.
He's getting the Al-Attifaq out of there.
That he will be going to Ajax reportedly. We're waiting for the official sort of announcement, but he dealt with a lot of criticism and for even going and signing with the team. And
I will say this is Ajax are showing concrete interest.
No, I pulled up the wrong tweet, but yeah,
it's not exactly a here we go.
It's not a here we go just yet. It is. I'll find the official one, but it looks like it's pretty certain. So.
And it's not just Jordan Henderson either. There's rumors that Karim Benzema is trying to get out of the Saudi Pro League. The Saudi Pro League just seems in general to not be as desirable of a place to be as players initially thought it was going to be.
So what's the question? Do we think it's done?
That was what I was going to ask you guys. Do you guys think that this is just a half-year failure, or is it growing pains? Is that what we're seeing? Is it players are coming, it's not what they expected, but maybe these just aren't the players? Because there are other players that haven't been complaining. Sadio Mane, seems to be enjoying himself. N'Golo Kante, hasn't heard anything from him. I don't know. What do you guys think is next for the Saudi Pro League?
That's a great question, whether it's a bust. Do we think?
Well, I mean, with the 6 people in the stands watching these games, you would have to think that it's not much of a success. Look, it's a thing where they have to figure out how to monetize this as soon as possible. They're spending tons and tons of money on bringing. I mean, I guess so, right? I mean, do you think it's simply that use oil money to fund this hobby for some of the owners?
It's not a hobby. This is an attempt to enrich the football culture before. Or at least visually, to the onlookers.
So you don't open the hood. Don't open the hood.
Nah. We just buy the car because it's painted. You know.
Okay. Don't look at the Carfax. What
No.
you don't trust me?
Just slapping phones out of hands here. This is crazy. You gonna do this in front of me?
With family.
Yeah. Are you pulling up Zelle? Carfax slap. I think it's they want the World Cup in 2036. Is it?
Yeah.
So it's like a more of a long-term investment into just getting some of these obviously big tournaments in the country. So,
right. So you get some of the biggest players. You hope that changes.
How much
the
money can they
outlook.
lose to do that?
Bazillions. And that's, I think, the official term. Gajillions, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
They have almost an endless amount of money.
Yeah, I mean it's also
They don't have to turn a profit ever. They don't even know what that is. Like profit.
It's a shame that could be the case.
They're like, wait a minute. If you start a business and it does well, you get more money. That's crazy. I just thought we had the money. And let's have some fun.
Yeah, I mean it's a shame in the grander, like in the bigger sort of concept of like that there can be so many people struggling and people have and a lot of poverty, yet they're like, yo, let's just look, we're burning money.
Yeah.
Like come to the annual burning money festival.
Well, every halftime we burn money.
Okay, and that's what it kind of feels like because so I get it if that is what the focus is. It just it be a financial investment for these whether it's like, look, if we can make the accusations or the alleged of just like greasing some of the wheels at FIFA, and maybe and I'm sure the people at FIFA are like, hey, we ain't got no problem with
these wheels need grease.
Our wheels is kind of
squeak.
wheels are kind of dry right now.
If only we had a little bit of oil. And shockingly, I feel like you guys got a lot of that oil.
So I guess the answer to the question might be like we don't even necessarily know what failure looks like. I guess the closest thing to failure is players not wanting to play there, right? So Jordan Henderson leaving, and we heard the reports about that a lot of the players, especially the foreign players, that their wives are not comfortable. They don't appreciate being at the country, or they don't like the lifestyle.
I don't want to say it if I'm mistaken. Hilarious. But I do believe that Jordan Henderson was one of the players who doesn't live where Al Ettifaq plays.
Okay.
I think he lived in Doha and made the trip in.
All right.
For training and for the game.
Commuting to work?
I'm assuming that's like New Jersey, New York, like that close.
Okay.
I'm assuming. Maybe it's an hour and a half. I don't know. Maybe we could look that up. But it seems to me like the reason why you would choose to live in Doha is because maybe that's a bit more progressive.
Okay.
Maybe it's makes a little bit of an easier life for your wife, maybe. I'm assuming.
Maybe. I mean, I've been to Dubai, which is obviously not the same country, but it even before
Dubai is like it's the Vegas of the Middle East, though.
It is, but a lot of the questions I had before going were like, oh, do I have to behave a certain way? I knew that alcohol wasn't allowed in a lot of places. Not that I really cared about drinking a whole bunch, but you don't want to be like, yo, a Corona, please, and it's like handcuffs or whatever, right?
Yeah. Man, I'd love a beer.
Damn, why am I in Abu Ghraib?
I didn't even get here.
Damn, I didn't mean. I just wanted a Heineken or Coors Light, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you. Well, no, you would get arrested if you had Heineken, but if you had a Coors Light,
Coors Light's the only thing
become
allowed.
a prince in Dubai. Do they have a royal family?
So, but one of the other things I was thinking about, or is like at beaches. I mean, man-made beaches or whatever. But like, what were the women like? I thought like they would have to be in burqas. And
what's the state of dress? We've
thing.
also heard stories like a friend of ours, Simeon Goodson, lived in Dubai, and he said you're not allowed to film selfies in public because there's very strict privacy laws. So other people might be getting in your video. You're not allowed to post that until you get consent from everyone that was in the background.
Wow. Yeah.
So most of the time you film selfies at home, things like that. You can't just go in the stream and be like, I got a show this week.
Sure,
you have to do that from the privacy of your own home.
Just
so there's
peace sign. Good vibes, y'all.
the Korean chick heart thingy with your fingers. Don't do that in public.
12
Sim.
years in prison. Sorry, can't.
That's about 4 beers worth of prison. But I think there's obviously a different culture. Look, I'm not a big proponent of religion in any way, shape, or form, right? For me personally, I respect if other people have it as part of their culture or something they believe in or their faith, go for it. But I do think there are some learning curves. There are some learning curves to living in a place like Saudi Arabia or in Doha, if that's where you choose to live. And I think especially I think the English have a hard time even living in America sometimes. Like the culture's not the same. Life in English is different. We experienced it when we were in Liverpool. People were popping beer cans at 10 a.m. on the train. And we're like, this isn't normal where we live. You know what I mean? Unless you're a detective whose partner was just murdered. And there's a camera crew and this is part of the script of the movie you're filming. It just isn't. Some of those things, like the idea of just going out and getting super, super drunk and stuff like that, like that's not a part of even our culture. There's a bit of a learning curve on living in America. That way I can only imagine a place where drinking is really looked down upon, how hard that is. So yeah, I can imagine it's very difficult. Do I think this is it for the Saudi Pro League? Part of me tells me no. They're just going to go find different players. They may not be the ilk they want, but Cristiano Ronaldo seems to be having a good time there. Neymar, up until his injury, seemed fine, or at least we hadn't heard any negativity.
I mean, I think the big issue is that the players that do sign, I'm sure it's part of especially players like Ronaldo and Neymar, that not only are they stars that are playing in the league, but they also have to also be advocates and
it's part of your deal
for the country. I mean, they're not gonna say a slightly negative word.
Your goal celebration has to be you opening a travel pamphlet to Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. What a cool.
Wow, the beaches are man-made but serene.
Look, my family having a great time at this resort.
Please don't focus on the red dots of lasers on their foreheads.
Are we taking penalties? You don't need to do that.
We don't need that. Focus somewhere else. To me, it's difficult to say because of the amount of money they have access to. It's hard for me to say this has been a bust. I think growing pains is what I'll say.
Okay. I mean, I think Jordan Henderson is not the caliber player that's going to
he ain't putting butts in the seats,
right. But there's something to be said about maybe players from England that have the opportunity to go play in Saudi Arabia. They're gonna hit up Jordan Henderson and be like, yo, what was it like? Should I go? And
they're not going to hit up Jordan Henderson. I think they know. They might hit up someone like N'Golo Kante and be like, what do you think, dog?
I'm just saying, look, he is an ambassador to some degree for the English player that might want to go play out there. Because I'm sure
if you're going to date Amber Heard, you might not reach out to
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. But what was that like? You know what I mean? You might reach out to a different ex.
Somebody that might have had a better experience. Because I
buy a couple bed sheets.
I was on Netflix and I heard that she pooped in your bed. Is that like how much poop? You don't really
like a little poop.
Like a manageable amount of poop?
If it was a nugget, all right. But if it was a concentrated amount.
A nugget you can make work.
You didn't know. You thought it was a fart. But if it's a significant amount where they had to stand there and read pamphlets on travel to Saudi Arabia.
I'm swiping left, I think.
I think I'm deleting Raya.
So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. The league is not going anywhere, but I think Karim Benzema reported that he's looking probably for other options to get out of there.
He hasn't joined back with the team.
Okay, yeah, I don't know where they are now with it. But then Roberto Firmino said that he's staying with the team. I forget Al Ali. And so look, you're gonna hear this from time to time. Jordan Henderson is just. Because of the controversy of his signing, I think that's why we're kind of focusing on him, because he, I think, justifiably dealt with a little bit of criticism, and so it's going to be interesting him going to Holland and maybe get kind of away from the press about it to some degree.
Do you want to hear a quick little story about how bad the English travel? Remember, England won the World Cup in 1966.
Yes.
In 1970, the World Cup is in Mexico. Okay, Mexico.
I got it the first time. Everyone understood the first time.
Just in case anyone listening is like, where is that?
I didn't know. I need a Duolingo to listen to this show.
He switched the J sound to an X, and now I understand it. The coach of the English national team said the food was terrible. Mexican food is bad. So they imported frozen hamburgers and sausages.
I've heard this.
To give you an idea of how badly the British travel, they thought Mexican food, what's with all this seasoning? Bring us the frozen sausages.
Yes, if it wasn't thawed in front of them, they don't want it. I have heard that story. It is fascinating.
Come on, you ain't built for this.
So the next piece of news we're going to talk about, Inter Miami got a new recruit, a buddy of Lionel Messi, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba. Luis Suarez has joined Inter Miami, and does this automatically make them the new favorites to win MLS next season, do you guys think?
Yes.
I mean, they were the favorites, I think, before he joined. They should be the favorites still, but not because he joined. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, the story from... He said it himself, and I don't know if this was part of his... attempt to get out of Gremio. Because remember, he was trying to get out of that contract early so he could join Messi when Messi first got there. But he said he has to get an injection in his knees before the games. And afterwards, for like 2 or 3 days after, he can't play with his kids.
Right.
That's how bad his knee is. Now, you bring that guy to a league that's very physical, involves a ton of travel, and plays on turf sometimes. How many games is it? What's the over/under on how many games Luis Suarez is going to play?
Yeah, I think we talked about this briefly when that story came out. So if he can play realistically more than half the games, and he played very well in Brazil.
He did. He was the leading scorer for them.
So you would expect that the drop off can't be that terrible.
I don't think he's going to be a bad player. I don't think he's going to be terrible. But a guy who plays. I honestly think 15 games should be the over/under.
Okay.
And my feeling is that it's going to be under. I'll say 15 and a half.
Is that just in MLS, or you think cup games as well, only 15?
I'll say just MLS.
Okay. Yeah, I think...
Because I think Leagues Cup... I think, to be honest with you, I think Championship Cup, CONCACAF Championship Cup, Champions Cup, Leagues Cup, it's too many cups. It's a lot. It's like my bedside table. It's too many cups. My wife's going to get mad at you. I feel like maybe Inter Miami prioritizes. Why couldn't I speak there for a second? Prioritizes them because of the more global eyes that'll be put on it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know if it makes sense now with MLS being a global broadcast brand.
I think the interesting thing here, as far as how much he's going to play, and also even how much is Messi going to play, because of Copa America. They're both Uruguay and Argentina are going to be playing, obviously, in Copa America.
Is Luis Suarez back in Uruguay's plans?
Yeah,
though?
yeah.
He hasn't been?
I would expect he
hasn't
would play.
been?
Really, he hasn't.
No.
At all.
Bielsa has not called him in.
Oh, okay, so
they've kind of moved on from him, but maybe there's a chance
maybe
they
there's
get...
a chance. So I think for the most part, I would kind of expect if he could play 25 to 30 matches, that is in all competitions or whatever.
Any player gets that, you're happy, right? With injuries and...
So we kind of
Are you talking about all competitions?
all
25?
competitions,
Okay,
yeah.
actually,
So which is fairly
that's actually
low.
that's actually a bit more reasonable. Of
So look, I think we're he's gonna be what is it when on a minutes restriction kind of, you would have to probably
load management.
do what do with LeBron, and people get upset they
Kawhi Leonard.
they don't get to see their players play. So I don't know. I don't think especially because how well he played in Brazil. I'm not too worried that there's going to be a huge problem per se. I think there is obviously a lot of travel with MLS. I mean, I would assume they are going to be as careful as possible with him and it's also not a thing where they desperately need him in all these games. They have Leo Campana, and who's a very obviously clearly competent striker and will do very well. I wonder how they're gonna manage.
You're not selling tickets with Leo Campana though.
Yeah, they don't need. It doesn't matter if Messi wasn't there and Suarez was. They ain't selling a bunch of tickets either. They're selling more, but not like the Messi numbers. Like
Messi is.
What's happening with Messi? And 2024 is going to be fascinating with like these away games. I mean, the game at Arrowhead Stadium for Sporting Kansas City.
That's what I was actually about to look up. Was the capacity of Arrowhead.
And I was seeing some of the cheapest tickets or something like $350.
Bro, they're making money.
At Arrow, this is like 60,000 people.
76,000.
76,000, and the cheapest seat, $350. That's insane.
And they're gonna sell it.
They're gonna sell it. That's the shameful thing. But I understand for maybe not for the league or Messi even being there or calling it a cash grab or whatever, but the owners individually are like, yes, cash grab it up, okay? grab. We want.
Yeah.
They got the.
Are you suggesting there's other cash to grab? Because I will do that.
Okay, it's Mr. Krabs. Yeah. You want to grab? Put money in these little pincers.
Give me more of those poor people's money.
Okay, so
find me a bigger stadium in Kansas City.
The idea of moving the game out of Children's Mercy Park to the bigger stadiums is. Or at least what we're sort of told.
I hope the season ticket holders just get a ticket for the game.
I believe, the season tickets the holders are fine, but then for they basically say like we're gonna attract all the new potential supporters and fans because Messi's here, and
because that's how it works. So, casual fans gonna be like, I think I want to support that guy that Messi's running past. Because I think I want to buy season tickets for that.
Because the idea could be, imagine if they made the tickets, $60, let's say.
But why would you do that?
I understand, but imagine you would get people that are like,
that's financially irresponsible. I'm not gonna lie to you. And for U.S. soccer, I mean, there's not many.
Because we all know U.S.
This
soccer
isn't like Real Madrid playing Messi, and you're like, oh, how dare you charge $300? It's just Sporting Kansas City.
They would attract fans of Sporting Kansas City, more Sporting Kansas City fans than just Messi fans. And it would be, you would still have a lot of pink jerseys in the stadium, but you would definitely fill the stadium. You would definitely have that easier connection to potential fans to get season tickets to watch games at Children's Mercy Park. So that's kind of like the hope. But I'm suggesting $60, but to go to nearly $400 for the cheapest ticket.
I mean, look, unfortunately, that's what the demand is, no? And
it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's like the shame. They can sell it for that much, and they will.
And they will.
And realistic,
which is like, isn't that what like a Liverpool season ticket costs? Like $300, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wild. So look, these owners of these MLS teams where Inter Miami is visiting, they're going to make probably maybe two seasons worth of profit. Yeah. In this like one game, and that's what they're doing. They're taking that opportunity.
This is their version of like the FA Cup when like a small club gets a chance to get like a large 45% of like the tickets from like the big gate from like playing one of the Premier League games. That the amount of money that is like 3 years worth of their income in one game. That's what this is going to be for Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, they basically I guess all the owners had to agree with whatever the whatever rules they had to sort of bend to even have Messi on board, right? I'm sure maybe not the MLS rules per se, but the giving a percentage of the Apple subscription, the MLS.
Doesn't Messi make a cut of the gate?
I don't know.
That was rumored.
I know
Probably.
I know it's merchandise. I don't know
Subscriptions.
if it's paid, but the subscription. So the owners, I'm sure, had to have some sort of say involved. So they're like, all right, this is how we're gonna get our money back.
You know what? They should make it transparent for the fans. Like, it's like Messi makes a cut of the gate, so it's $280. There's a $60 Messi tax.
Messi tax.
You know what I mean?
Just put it right on there.
Put it on there, bro. Hey, don't blame me.
I'd be more. I like respect that more from Ticketmaster.
Right.
They just told me there was a Messi tax right there on the ticket, rather than all these wild ass fees.
So it's a $45 ticket to go see my favorite band and a $120 processing fee.
Okay, interesting.
Shipping. I'm getting it emailed.
Okay, Jesus. All right. So I wonder as far as like how the team is gonna play.
I was gonna say on the field. How do you think it's
on the
gonna
field?
affect them?
I don't think we mentioned this yet, but Julian Gressel signing for Inter Miami, I think is what a signing.
If he plays right back, they're going to be great. Although they already have Yedlin.
He's a wing.
He'll probably be a midfielder.
He's a wing back. He's going to play probably right mid, but which he did that's basically what he did at Atlanta. And but the amount of crosses this man is going to be sending into Luis Suarez, he's
like a factory that works for a church. Just nothing but cross.
Never heard that one before. Did not hear that one before.
Just nothing all day. Punch
factory
in, cross.
That works for a church. Damn, bro. I mean, wow. I mean, I think Pope Francisco gonna walk right in here and be like, Alexis, do you want to be one of our cardinals?
Papal over here.
My goodness. That's kind of what I'm excited about. They traded away Kamal Miller, which is a little bit of a concern. But this is the issue with Inter Miami. Inter Miami, when they're scrolling through transfer market, and they're like, yo, I think this guy might be a good fit, and they call him. They're like, yes. What?
Yeah.
Who is this? Yes.
They'll call a player and they're like, we can only pay you MLS money. They're like, no, I don't want to go. And then the phone rings again. It's like, hello, this is Messi. I want you to come here. I'll do it for free.
Have you heard of the Messi tax?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's, your salary is in my pocket.
It comes directly to me. Okay. So they are still making a couple moves. I just saw a player potentially from Pumas, I think might be coming to Inter Miami. So they're gonna be fine. I think realistically, Major League Soccer is gonna do everything in their power to set them up to succeed.
You need Messi in the playoffs.
So we can expect that. What happens in the playoffs? Who knows? I mean, you have the 3-game first round, but which you would expect Inter Miami to go through, but you never know. And we saw, when we saw Messi against Charlotte ended up winning 1-0, right? I believe. Mm-hmm. And that could happen in the playoffs. There could be a lot of disappointment. So this might be Messi's last year. And so you got to capitalize as much as possible.
Go out big.
So last Friday we had the NWSL draft happen. The biggest trade. We actually had a Metal Art correspondent out there. You'll see on the screen right now. We've got some videos from behind the scenes. But the biggest news to come out of that draft was probably the Ashley Sanchez trade. Who was traded from the Washington Spirit for which pick was it?
Third round.
She was traded
fifth overall pick.
Yeah.
250,000 in allocation money.
Yeah. I mean, what do you guys think? How is that going to affect the Spirit season? How is that going to affect the NWSL season? She's one of the best players in the league.
So, Ashley Sanchez been on our show before.
Friend of the show.
There's no way for anyone, I think, with a beating heart to see this trade and be like, what? Or just be absolutely cool with it. I'm sure Courage fans are happy. We're also in studio. We have Douglas Reyes Cerrone of Metal Lock the Homie, also in Gully Squad.
Yes.
And so we could let's hear it directly from a Spirit supporter. What? I'll give my thoughts, but real quick, what your first thoughts?
What's your elevator pitch?
We were shocked. We're still not over it, and we can see the fact that it seems like a lot of people all around are not happy with it, and we're thinking, look, the rookies they got, they better ball out, or we're probably calling for that general manager's head soon.
There we go.
Jeez, it is.
The bar is incredibly high, and
I'm going to give you a different take, okay? Before Mallory Swanson and Sanchez, first name Maria?
Maria Sanchez, from Houston.
Before they became the highest grossing or highest earning.
Yeah.
Who had the biggest contract?
Trinity Rodman.
Trinity Rodman, okay.
Got that 1.2 mil.
Why would you upset her? By trading her best friend?
And that's really the first thing I thought. As soon as I saw the trade, I was like, everybody, where is Trinity? Okay. Everybody check on Trinity.
Rodchez. They were such a great group.
Thank you for the rebrand. But it's Sandman.
Rodchez is better. Rodchez is better, bro. Rodchez, dude.
Well, look,
Sandman.
Sandman is the
that sounds like a police officer. Get Sandman over here.
So this was the on TikTok. Trinity Rodman, bro. She opened the notes app. You made Trinity open the notes app.
Damn, there's quotes. There's quotes. There's ellipsi in here.
How could you do this?
Damn.
If you are on TikTok like us young folk, you will see that Trinity and Ashley Sanchez are the best of friends, besties. Okay, Lilas.
Yes.
Okay,
and they're the type of vibe you want, bro. They're fun. They're relaxed. They're having a good time.
They dance. They ball out on the pitch.
They go shopping together. You took that away from all of us.
Okay, now they're gonna have to like coordinate and plan those like get-togethers. When friends move away,
oh, it's the worst.
How much harder it is just to stay in touch.
And you tell yourself you're gonna remain
friends. You tell yourself all the time.
You tell yourself it's gonna be fine. We could FaceTime. And then you know what? One time you FaceTime and they don't pick up, and you know what they say? Sorry, I'm just hanging out with my new friend. And it's over for you. And now they moved on and you haven't.
Or even worse. They get a boyfriend.
Oh
my
no.
God. And then that's it. You never see them again.
Damn.
How dare they? Okay, so this is what the Washington Spirit have.
I'll never do that to you, Christian.
Okay. The day you get a boyfriend will break my heart.
You think I would rip up Gerlanco?
Okay.
I would never rip this up and spit it out.
All right, Metal, like, don't you even think about
or
it.
Or Pereiros.
I like Pereiros better. That's better.
I mean, look, just some of the quotes from the message from Trinity. She said, "Damn, this is how it starts. Damn, this one hits the soul. Ashley Sanchez, me and you became friends so quick. It was the easiest friendship of my life, and we quickly started doing every single thing together. As time went on, life hit both of us hard in different areas, and that impacted our friendship. Together and separately, we've gone through ups and downs, family, friends, and soccer. Don't get me started on us both going through our, quote, depressed Rex phase while using each other's shoulder to cry on and climb on and to still perform every day for our club, country, and ourselves." What? They've been through it all. It's been like a friendship. They've been friends for like 3 years.
It feels like they've been friends forever.
But you see the chemistry and the dynamic, and
they played well together, and they were balling. And if you are Ashley Sanchez, all you want to do is pass the ball into space because you know Trinity Rodman gonna get behind
without a
it
doubt, she's gonna nutmeg the defender and create another highlight. So it's a look on a serious note. The Washington Spirit, after they won the NWSL championship, they just the inconsistency of like, you know, either front office or you know, I know like Doug said, like the people have not been happy with the, you know, switching owners. Like there's been a lot of ups and downs with this team, and
it's been unsettled for a while.
So you know, in my mind, when I think of things that are wrong with the Spirit, I don't see like, well, what if we get rid of Ashley Sanchez? I'm sure that will revitalize. I'm like, no. Why would that even be the first kind of thought?
You better use that $250K on something.
Yeah, I mean, we see, especially the Courage, who obviously have Ashley Sanchez. They just signed a defender from Wolfsburg, who's very good. Roush.
I saw the name pop up, but
she's been popping up on FIFA Ultimate Team. So that's how I know. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Felicitas Rouch.
Okay, so
Felicitas.
So yeah, I've been seeing her
Felicidades Rouch
from time to time. But yeah, this one's difficult. This one, look, I mean,
And Rod Roush just doesn't sound the same.
or San Roush,
Yeah.
or Rouse
San Roush.
Rouse Chez.
Roush Chez actually is kind of dope. Not gonna lie.
I mean, we're looking at some of this is Trinity's TikTok, and
It was basically a Ashley Sanchez follow along TikTok account.
well, I can't play the music, but I mean, look at this, besties for life.
Just giggling.
And the
their way
Spirit
through
are like,
soccer.
nah, we don't believe in
We're
friendship.
ripping it up.
Okay, well, what was that real? They spit gum into.
I'll say I hope not. I'm gonna go. Maybe it was a good idea to rip these two apart a little bit. Just get a little bit of space. You know what I mean? Y'all might have gotten too close.
It looked like, for people listening, I believe it might be fake, but it looked like they spit some sort of candy into each other's mouths, like back and,
And then
forth.
back and forth.
Which is also quite a talent. It just shows the passing
Damn,
chemistry
yeah.
between the two.
I was gonna say.
Okay.
2 assists. That's what I
Bro,
saw.
that is a
Two assists.
That is a green link in FIFA
Yeah, yeah.
Ultimate Team if I've ever seen one.
That is top notch. Now do it on the pitch, ladies. They're gonna do it again.
It has to be big.
This
It's hilarious.
Horrific.
So look, yeah, I hope it works out. And look,
Is that a long drive?
from
Cary, North Carolina to Washington D.C.
That's a pretty 5, 6
5,
hours.
6
5 or
hours.
6 hours. Yeah, that's not a let's go hang out.
The Courage look like they are making this is
You got to retool because Gotham is stacked.
Yeah, I mean the Courage they lost to Gotham in the playoffs, so it wasn't like they had a terrible season. They hosted a home playoff game. I think in general, and you mentioned Mallory Swanson and just it's like year after year we're starting to see like, oh, who's the highest paid player? Nah, who's the highest? Oh no, this is the highest paid player now. And Mallory Swanson, I think is just a great example of the league being like, yo, we're spending money. You
got to compete with Europe because WSL is on up.
Exactly, and we're started. Emily Fox joining
You
Arsenal.
saw Arsenal has a chant for her already?
I did see that. Yeah. I forgot. It says something like from America. Emily Fox from America.
Yeah. That thing.
So I think the competition is only going to grow as far as just keeping players in NWSL. I think we all sort of understand that I believe the highest level of the women's game as far as in any league, I think it is NWSL. But the thing that NWSL has to compete with is Champions League and the Women's Champions League, and just the fanfare of like a lot of players, a lot of American players as well, want to play in a Camp Nou, and with 90,000 people there, like just to have that experience, bucket list kind of a thing. Maybe you're not playing in the best league, but you get that kind of I don't know, really really authentic experience that you see the men have, as you're a kid and growing up and watching these games. So that's gonna, I think so this sign that the Courage are kind of going this hard and spending this kind of money I just think it's a sign of the growth of the league and just again more parity. As difficult as it is to see Alexis Sanchez and Trinity Rodman be broken up, overall I'm hoping it's a better sign for the league.
It is a positive sign.
Going abroad to Europe, we've got some other news. Jose Mourinho was sacked by Roma. They're currently 9th in Serie A, I believe, but there's a lot of rumors about Jose coming over stateside, potentially in MLS. I heard some rumors about USMNT for the future. Where do you guys think Mourinho ends up next?
Well, I know he turned down a huge offer from Saudi. It was reported or rumored, I'm not sure which one, to be $120 million for 2 years to coach in Saudi Pro League.
God, I mean, we were talking about earlier about burning money. This is
Bro. Could you imagine Jose Mourinho with $120 million?
I mean, I'm sure he's doing just fine.
Yeah, but he'd be yelling at refs from a yacht. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit of a different life. I think, look, it's difficult to say because the fans at Roma love him so much, and the fans booed the players after this. when they went down to the training ground to like, give him his flowers, and he was emotional, and he brought them a trophy. He brought them the Europa Conference. It was their first trophy in 14 years. And this is a beautiful thing. The connection between the coach and the fan base was beautiful. You see how emotional it made him. We're watching video here of him, driving past the Coliseum, and just how much this means to him and how much the fans absolutely love him. Absolutely incredible. But if you look at his inability to beat the big teams, I think he only beat Lazio once. He's lost to them 5 times, or maybe there was 1 or 2 draws in there. But he's only been able to beat Lazio once, which is a big rival. And then remember last season when he was waiting for the ref after the game, and then Anthony Taylor, and the ref got like not attacked, but I guess you can kind of say attacked at the airport. Him and his family, his poor family. There was rumors that they wanted to sack him at that moment. What is it, the Friedskins or something like that? The Friedrichs? I forget who owned him.
Who owns Roma?
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
But they were going to sack him at that moment. But if you look at it, yes, they have the 3rd highest wage bill in Serie A.
Friedkin, by the way.
Friedkin, there it is. But if you look at it, you're like, how? Where is that money? Because this isn't that stacked of a team, and you could tell he was trying to do as much as he possibly could with the squad he had, especially with the injuries he was suffering. So, in a weird way, I actually think this is going to be positive for both him and Roma. They can both restart. Daniela De Rossi is clearly just someone to be like, hey, fans, don't be mad at us. Here's a guy you love.
Like, you can't yell at him.
He seems like an angry guy. I wouldn't yell at him if I were him. Who he said if he wasn't pro, he would be one of the Curva guys. He'd be in the stands.
My first ever soccer game was Real Madrid against Roma, and I saw De Rossi play.
There you go. Just a beloved human being at the club. So hopefully that he does a good job, better than he did with Spal when he managed them in Serie B. But if I'm looking at Jose Mourinho, I think you kind of did everything you could possibly do in the club game. I think a national team is next. The rumor was he turned down the Portugal job as well. Yeah. So maybe he goes back to that. I kind of don't want to see him as a men's national team job. I feel like tactically we've moved on as a nation from trying to play that style. And that does feel like just a baby step backwards. And I also, as much as people probably don't want to hear this, there's no way his personality and U.S. soccer mix in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I can't
U.S.
see
soccer wants someone who's going to listen to them. Jose Mourinho's going to be like, none of you, 3 champion, respect. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, you can't talk to me.
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, as far as his time at Roma, I probably end up watching 5 or 6 Roma matches a season since he's been there. And my general thought is like just a kind of underachieving club, just kind of disappointing performances, not getting wins or late goals that they give up. I just think the story around him getting the red cards that he gets and gets sent off, and it's a little too volatile for a club that doesn't have the resources of some of the previous clubs that he's had in the past. So he brought the confidence of a club that should be like winning titles, but he's just gone too far. Like, he's upset at the referees, upset about certain calls, and I think at some point it can kind of become a distraction. Was this his 3rd season? Is this the third
season again?
It's always what happens.
Always Mourinho. That's why.
So then, if you are U.S. soccer, time it right. If the World Cup is going to be 2026, hire him in 2024 this year. Next year will be his fully first season ends in middle of 2025. His second year, which is usually when he wins, 2026. We win the World Cup. He gets fired the next season. Who cares? We all got yachts.
There it is.
And do you not think optically it's like just a major, a statement of intent by U.S. soccer? Because now you have Emma Hayes coaching the U.S. women's national team, obviously one of the best managers, and Jose Mourinho, maybe a little bit past it. But in terms of name, there's not really many people bigger than him.
Yeah, I think it's but as far as, is he easy to work with? I mean, I don't know. It's like I think there's a lot of...
is Greg Berhalter easy to work with?
I think there's just a lot of...
I don't know. He seems to have the buy-in from everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I just think Mourinho has just blemishes on his resume. I mean, without a doubt, like one of the most successful managers.
You saw reacting
ever.
to Anthony Taylor. How's he going to do in San Salvador? You know what I mean? It's going to be.
I think the refs might be a little afraid, and then the USMNT will get some extra calls.
It's going to be insane.
Yeah, I just think it's a philosophy thing and a workplace thing that I think Americans might be a little bit intimidated of the thought of working with him. But I've heard rumors of he has said that he's interested in working in America in some capacity, whether it's in MLS or for U.S. soccer with the men's national team. So it's not insane that he ends up here in some way. I kind of just want to see it to see if it works. Can he, like, even if it's an MLS club, can he take an MLS club, play his style, and find success? Maybe it's like
it's not that. I mean, outside of when he coached at Porto, which was a much more advanced attacking style, much more progressive style. His style's pretty. I don't want to use the term simple because it's not. But at the end of the day, it's a relatively pragmatic style. It's a 4-3-3, pretty defensive. Everybody stay compact. Everybody play your game. Don't let the player in front of you beat you, or don't let him break lines. And then attack on the counter. I feel not only can we play that way, I think most teams have played that way.
It's easier to do that, play that simple style when...
than, De Zerbi style.
But it's easier when you have Didier Drogba, Frank Lampard,
of course.
and Petr Cech.
4-3-3 when every one of those positions is world class. Yes.
Okay. So I'm curious to see if he does get the opportunity to work in the U.S. in some way. I
just can't imagine what MLS club is to his stature. I just don't think that exists yet.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I remember a couple years ago, he got invited to the United Soccer Coaches Convention to give
virtually, right?
Yeah,
I think it was virtually.
But just to give like a lecture or speech and talk about his coaching philosophy. So I just wonder if it could work here. I think it'd be cool.
They did the preseason. Remember that it's called soccer.
Yes, against the Galaxy when he was at Man U, right?
Yes,
he was the Manchester
because
United,
Pogba was hit the sign with the ball. Yeah.
Right. So look, I more than anything, I think seeing the video of him leaving the training ground and all the fans running after him and taking photos and stuff, it was emotional for him, and I think it's emotional for the fans as well. I mean, there's a real appreciation. I think when we get sort of, and I kind of have the bias of how he was always portrayed in English media and all the criticism and stuff like that. But then you see him, how he's kind of deified in some.
I was
going to
say, as a Chelsea fan, he is a god to all Chelsea fans. Like, everybody loves Mourinho.
Yeah. So but more than anything, he just annoyed a lot of English people. People can't let it go.
He also annoyed every Arsenal fan. But even that stuff, it's just good fodder for a conversation. You know what I mean? As much as I'm an Arsene Wenger-ite, and he's like a god to me, and it always annoyed me that he called him like the specialist of failure or whatever it was, and and all of that back and forth. At the end of the day, it was something. It was like the drama that you think back and you're like, oh, those were the good days.
Exactly.
At the moment you're mad about it, but then you look back and you're like, those were some special moments.
Mm-hmm. All right. We should get to our interview.
Yes.
We have a dope conversation with Mark Wright. Sports Explains
Absolutely
the World.
Incredible.
The Bison Project. Go check it out as soon as you're done listening to this interview with Mark Wright. Was just a great guest and great convo to have about the Howard soccer team. So here goes our conversation with Mark Wright.
I mean, the esteemed guests continue to roll in.
Exactly. I mean, we have athletes, we have directors, filmmakers, journalists, and this is just par for the course for
Absolutely
for the level of just the high quality journalism work, and which is we're going to be highlighting today. And I'm excited about our upcoming guest.
Absolutely. I mean, this gentleman has put together what I think is just an incredible podcast that speaks to a subject that some of us have heard about in passing, but I don't think there's been a real deep dive. This sort of it reminds me of something in the vein of like what Grant Wall had tried to do when he was around, and I'm glad that I got a chance to listen to this. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Sports Explains the World, from the Bison Project, Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Wright, everybody.
Mark, what is up?
Thank you so much. I didn't want to stop you with that intro. Keep going.
More plaudits.
No, and I want to, because Sports Explains the World is also a Wondery and Meadowlark project. So we're basically coworkers.
We're
at
family.
This point. This is us at the water cooler. But I want to just start and tell people about the project, tell people about yourself, your connection to the game, just so we can get a starting point where everybody is aware of what's about to happen.
Absolutely. I'll try to make it not boring. But here we go. So I was born in England in Wolverhampton. The Wolves are my second EPL team. United, unfortunately, is my first. All right. Oof. And you can't ask a follow-up question. Let's just keep it moving.
None needed.
I was born in Wolverhampton to Jamaican parents. And I moved to Jamaica when I was 2.5. So I spent years 2.5 to 12 in Jamaica and came to America on my 12th birthday on my first airplane ride. Family came to America to the Washington, D.C. area. Always been a soccer player, soccer fan. Obviously, I think being of Caribbean heritage, that's a requirement. And ended up.
I'm Dominican. He's Cuban. Not all Caribbeans. That's just me.
We're more curveballs than we are free kicks. But we started a soccer podcast because we love it, so we're on the same page.
Right.
There it is.
Yeah.
We are brothers in kindred spirits.
Absolutely.
I ended up going to the esteemed Howard University in Washington, D.C. I fancy myself as a really, really good soccer player, but my skills did not push me to play at the collegiate level. So it made me write about it and report about it and tell stories about great players over the years. And I've been blessed. You're looking at somebody who is extremely blessed. My wife and I are blessed to have two sons who had no choice but to play the game their whole lives, and they're both playing at the collegiate level. So I'm very happy about that.
That's beautiful. Congratulations. I guess for me, what's most important, or what brought about, and for those who don't know, this is a sort of a deep dive into the 1971 NCAA championship for soccer, which Howard University, the university you went to, won, but then was stripped of that award for, I guess, a legal technicality. Now, I'm born and raised in Newark, so a lot of the things I say, I claim to be a legal technicality. Like, sure, you were driving 40 miles over the speed limit. That's a legal technicality. But in this case, it really is.
What are numbers really?
I know, right? Who's to say? I mean, right now I'm doing 75 below the speed limit because I'm parked. But in this case, the feeling behind the whole thing still felt a little bit like a witch hunt in particular. From all of your investigation, has that feeling subsided in any way?
That's a great takeaway, and thank you both for listening to the podcast. So you're coming from a place of I can really ask detailed questions. Absolutely. I think I came away from doing all the research and the reporting and speaking with all the ex-players and their family members of some of the players who've passed away. I really came away just a little bit more intrigued. And also always, I've had this feeling of is the story completely told? Like, have I done everything? Have I looked under every single stone? And no, the story isn't completely told, though I think this is probably the fullest that the story has been told, because each of the players have their own individual stories that we didn't have an opportunity to tell their stories as well. Some of them have passed away, like I said. I just say if this story had happened today in 2024 America, this team would not be stripped of their championship.
Yeah, there would be, social media would go crazy.
Right.
Correct.
Over something like this. And I think the most telling part to me was the opposing coach never accepted the sort of the award, by default because you guys were stripped of it, which I thought was, to mimic what somebody said on the podcast, was a classy move. But I think that goes to show, maybe you take it away from them, but that doesn't mean we want it. That's just going to sit there because the Howard University team absolutely deserved it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I also think it's important to sort of frame up the timeline. So actually December 30th of 2023 marked the 52nd anniversary of Howard winning that championship. which is still vacated, which you mentioned in your open, that St. Louis, which had the opportunity to then take it by default, did not choose to do that. Let me frame this up. This is 1970-71 America. And we don't have to turn this podcast into a history podcast. That we know what was happening in America in 1970-71. Howard University had a roster of 9 Trinidadians. Howard University is a historically black college and university in Washington, D.C. 9 Trinidadians on this team, 2 Eritreans on this team, 2 Bermudians, 1 Ghanaian, 1 Nigerian, and 1 lone African American on the team, which was the third string goalkeeper, Andy Terrell, who we got to interview. St. Louis's roster, 22-man roster, had 21 players on the team whose hometowns were listed as St. Louis, Missouri. They had 1 Brazilian, a freshman, on the team. There's nothing. So this was, if it sounds like black versus white, it was. If it sounds like a black school versus a white school, it was. The landscape of soccer in 1971, college soccer, was almost exclusively white. So for Lincoln Phillips, the then head coach, to come into the scene with this all-black team, with this all-immigrant team, all these guys have an accent, and then play the way they played, guys. So they weren't just kicking and running and booting the ball. I mean, they were running circles around people, beating people 7-8, 11, 10-1. And so they put themselves in the crosshairs just by existing. And I believe, and I spoke with Dr. Harry Edwards, which was a career goal, spoke with him, and he said it perfectly. He said the NCAA, or the powers that be, saw Howard University building something, and they were threatened by it, and they nipped it in the bud.
Yeah, I mean, the one question I had throughout the entire podcast was essentially, you know, the reason was there was an ineligible player or players, but I don't know the specifics. Were there any specific charges about specific players, or was it simply, you know, we don't know where these guys are coming from and blah, blah, blah. Like, because I could see at the time, it just would have been like, people would have accepted that reason or that reasoning. I mean, you understand, like, whatever legal system could be favoring NCAA. They could have said whatever they wanted. But where in your research, was any those specifics, did it seem justified even in that era that they could have done this?
So what I will say, all biases aside, that I could see them seeing and then wanting to shine a light on. So Howard's star player at the time, his name is Keith Acquie. Keith Acquie passed away in 2016. Keith Acquie came to Howard. He had been a teacher in Trinidad and Tobago, and he came to Howard to go to law school. And he played soccer his whole life, and literally didn't even know that Howard had a soccer team, and stumbled onto the team, saw them training, and tried out. Keith Acquie ended up becoming the best player in college soccer that year, scoring 25 goals in 1970 to match his age. So he's 25 years old. Obviously, he just put a light on himself. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew where he came from. Okay. His teammate, Rick Yallery Arthur, also from Trinidad. So those two guys were put in the crosshairs, and the allegations said that these guys played professional soccer in their native homelands before they came to Howard. The problem with that is there was no pro soccer in Trinidad and Tobago at the time. So
they were mad. They got beat by a 25-year-old lawyer.
I know, bro.
Exactly.
By the way, that's 25 goals in what I think was an 18-game season.
Correct.
They got bodied, bro. They got bodied, bro.
Judge, jury, execution.
They're like, bro, I don't care. You figure it out. It gotta be illegible, bro.
Keith Acquie's nickname was Bronco. So he was
Jeez.
fast. Yeah, so he was fast. He was fast. 2 other players were caught in the NCAA's crosshairs. Another Trinidadian, Tony Martin, and a Ghanaian who was a freshman, Maury Diani, who was just a magician with his dribbling. Caught in the crosshairs because they alleged that these 2 gentlemen did not take the SAT or the ACT. And Howard's admissions process had allowed for exemptions from the SAT and ACT for foreign students. And these 2 gentlemen had taken equivalent exams right? And so that should not have been. So ultimately, those are the things that took, and ultimately the NCAA stripped Howard of that 1971 national championship, stripped them of their semifinal finish in 1970, and and they couldn't go to the postseason in '73. So it was really a heavy-handed punishment for the quote crimes that I just stated.
NCAA like, now they food too spicy. Done. Ineligible. Ineligible. There's more jollof rice eaten per capita by the Ghanaian than other players in the NCAA system. Ineligible.
They're like, what is this, pepper? Get out of here. It's a frustrating thing because you mentioned in the podcast as well about like stopping this what could have been a dynasty, and I guess my question to you is listening to this podcast is really where I first heard this story. Right? I know there was an ESPN 30 for 30 about it as well, about the 74 team, but I'm curious about your thoughts on the effect of this decision and the maybe the future that we never got to see, and Howard being possibly a soccer powerhouse in America, and how that could have affected Black participation in soccer, because that's a issue that comes up on our show quite often.
Yeah, absolutely. And that ESPN 30 for 30 that you referenced is called Redemption Song, which I produced while I was at ESPN. So I brought this story to basically to Howard. But so guys, remember, I went to appreciate that.
Of course, well deserved.
Humble brag. I appreciate that. Thank you. I went to Howard University. I played high school soccer for the star freshmen on this 1971 team, and I didn't know the story because, being the humble person that Coach Ian Bain was and still is, just never really mentioned it. We were just kind of curious. He's 37, 38 years old while I'm in high school, and he's running circles around us 16, 17-year-olds, which he was just the guy. You can applaud him because he's going to be listening.
Yeah, well deserved.
And then you walk Howard's campus, and you don't see any big memories of this feat that any other college would have a shrine for. And so that's why when I literally found out about the story in full detail in 2014, Coach was being enshrined in Howard's Hall of Fame. He said, yeah, I think we were pretty decent. You ought to read my coach's book, and you let me know if you think it's a good 30 for 30, whatever this 30 for 30 thing you speak of.
All right.
And I read Coach Lincoln's book, and I said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so thanks to ESPN, it gave me a little bit of money to put a short documentary together, and that became Redemption Song. But that focused on the 74 team, mostly, right? Because we're America, we like winners. We want to talk about the winners, right? The team that redeemed the 71 team. There are guys on 74 who always felt kind of slighted, that their story was never really fully told. And so I told them back then, hey guys, wherever I am in the world, whatever resources I have, I'm going to come back to your story and tell it as the best of my ability. And that's what became the Bison Project. So not sure if I answered a question that I asked myself or if I answered your question originally.
No,
but
I mean,
that's kind of the back.
I was watching, Alexis was in $1 Billion Goal, which is the
Yes.
Paramount Plus documentary.
Yes.
And
Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Indeed.
and when they were talking about bringing growing these leagues in the United States, and NPSL and what became NASL, but one of the owners said like the reason Americans are not watching soccer is because they don't have heroes to look at and to help pay attention to the sport. And and then the names that they do mention, obviously Johan Cruyff, obviously Pelé, and Franz Beckenbauer, but it's for the most part it's a lot of white European athletes, and that's kind of where I'm listening to the podcast about Howard, and such a important institution to the United States could have also been an influential one in soccer, and I feel like that was sort of taken away from us.
Yeah, it's like they never gave the American sports fan an opportunity to make that decision for themselves. Right. So maybe I love the game so much, it doesn't matter if that person looks like me or comes from where I come from or has my name. Maybe I just love the game, and maybe as a result, I'm going to have my kids play, or I'm going to be in an old man league. right? And I think it's unfair that we make that decision for them. But to your earlier point about, what was happening at Howard and what they were potentially building, if you look at any Division 1 or 2 or 3 college roster right now, you will see 10, 11 players from all over the world. And I don't know if it was a stroke of genius or luck for Lincoln Phillips to have the team that he had, but he was coaching at a school that had an international appeal. So he took from what was there. And he's from Trinidad and Tobago. Of course he's going to go to Trinidad and get players, right? That's what I know. So literally he sort of fell into something that, look at college soccer today, and people are still watching college soccer. People are still watching MLS. You see the international influx of our domestic league. So to Harry Edwards' point, it's really unfair, and we'll never really know what might have come of it. But they really did nip it in the bud. And Lincoln Phillips was at Howard for 10 years, 117 wins. I think it's 17 losses and 11 ties. Went to the NCAAs 8 times out of those 10 years. But if you talk to him today, and I love Coach Phillips, and he's been a mentor to me and my sons, if you ask him today, he feels unfulfilled. He feels that he didn't get a chance to finish the job that he started. And he didn't get a chance to finish, to get to the level of greatness. When they talk about Harry Keough at St. Louis, they don't often put Lincoln Phillips' name next to it.
Right.
And it belongs there.
Yeah.
I want to ask about, you mentioned how humble and how, sort of stoic Ian Bain is. Ian Bain being one of the players on this team, was your coach, as you said, in high school, who you asked for a tryout and got on the team. It sort of reminds me a lot of, the work we're in a little bit. You're never really sure if you're making an impact. We all start out, when we started this podcast, we said we wanted to add value to the American player. We also wanted to give a voice to a segment of the fan base that didn't have a voice at the time.
Yeah.
And to hear that you got a chance to play a snippet of this podcast to him, and to hear that he got so emotional that in a very stoic way, he excused himself from the Zoom call, from the camera. Yeah. And for you to know that you broke through, but also you were able to give him some of his flowers. You were able to show him, yes, you did have an impact. Yes, you did do something that has helped a bunch of people. Your story is being told. How important do you think that was for you?
Massively important. There is no telling of the Mark Wright story without mention of this particular story. And I've written and worked on a bunch. Hold applause. This is really important. And I've told Coach Bain and all his teammates, who all seem to be sort of cut from the same humble cloth. It took a lot of convincing for me to have Coach Bain and his best friend, Alvin Henderson, to be involved. They didn't want to be involved, but I was a virus. I just kept coming. And ultimately they said yes, but they had one caveat. You got to make sure that you talk about all our teammates. You got to talk about all our teammates. And remember, guys, now we've lost 8 members from this team. 8 guys have passed away, taken their stories with them to the grave. Didn't tell their kids, didn't tell their grandkids. And so the feedback I'm getting now from guys I didn't even know is, thank you. I didn't even know that Dad or Pop was nice like that. I didn't know that they contributed so much to Howard soccer and to American soccer. He didn't talk about it, and we didn't know about it. So that's the piece for me, guys. That is just like
crazy.
It's everything.
Dude, but
it's everything.
Yeah, this is
nothing like us.
But this is
I would tell everybody.
But this is a common immigrant parent thing, right? My dad passed away last year, and we're going through his stuff. And then I see my dad was a mechanic his entire life, just fixed cars. It's literally, he was amazing at it. But then go through his stuff, we find his college degree. majored in psychology. You think he ever mentioned that he was a psychology major?
You
Never
couldn't bring it up once.
You couldn't mention it. It would have been a nice, talking point at parties. It would have been interesting.
It's like my grandfather was like, "Oh yeah, I used to serve food to Celia Cruz when she would come into the," and we're like, "When were you gonna bring this up?"
Okay,
We would have respected you so much more as you made desserts for. He was a dessert maker in Cuba. I was like, "What the hell?"
I've known you for 25 years. This is the first you're bringing it up. It's crazy. There's a certain sense. I don't know if it's like just the OGs.
Yeah.
They keep it to themselves, and I'm a fan of this. Kids on TikTok on their mental health journey and talking about all this stuff because it's a way to connect. So I think this is so we're all sort of a part of like bringing back the history of this silent generation that kind of kept stuff to
Silent
themselves.
generation's a good way to put it.
For sure.
So-
there was one guy on the team, Michael Selassie. He was Eritrean, and he was a freshman in 71, and he was also on the 74 team. And I was texting with him as we were setting up interviews with all the elders and all the players. Hey, Amde, want to make sure you're there. And he texted me back, and he just kept saying, and he was a soft-spoken guy. He just said, "Hey, man, I'm not doing well, but follow up with me in a week." And I kept following up. And turns out he was sick and never said he was sick to me, and passed away 3 weeks before we did those interviews. 3 weeks before we did, I still have the WhatsApp text exchange with Amde. And that's what pushed me. That's what drove me to, and this was 2021. We're doing these interviews. We had every reason in the world to cancel them. That's like coming off the pandemic. They're older. We're trying to have them at Howard. I had every reason in the book to postpone it and push it. I said, no, this is too important. It's too important to do it. And we did it for Amde. We did it for the other players who passed away. And Coach Lincoln Phillips turns 83 on the 4th of July this year.
Amazing.
Wow.
Still in great health. Still doing goalkeeper training to young
Look
kids.
at
Of
that.
course he is.
All right.
Right?
Why
So
why
I
ever
don't know
stop?
who was going to tell this story and call his name, but we wanted to make sure that happened.
All right. Well, that's a wonderful birthday present for your 83rd birthday. So, Mark Wright, everybody, make sure you go check out Sports Explains the World on. You can check out the podcast wherever you get podcasts.
Real quick, actually, before we end, is there going to be a part 4? Do you think Howard's going to go after this? Maybe go back in history?
So, I had three, it's like you're setting me up. I had 3 takeaways for this. One, just get the story told. And if that's all you accomplish, you can rest. Get the story told. Well, I got two more things. One, get the story back on the NCAA's radar. Howard got jobbed. Get it back on the NCAA's radar. And whether they want to do right by Howard, or they're shamed into doing right by Howard, or this is a new generation of NCAA. They just want to do the right thing. Whatever floats your boat. The third thing is, I also like to get this in front of the Vice President of the United States, who is a Howard alum. And
Let's go.
these guys were promised, as you heard, a White House visit by then President Nixon, which never happened. And how awesome would it be for these guys, whoever can make it, to just get a visit and get their flowers there? Whatever comes of the story, that will be amazing. So is there going to be a part? Maybe that's part 3 and part 4, and maybe that's the case. Since we're co-workers, let the Meadowlark people and the campsite people know. Let them know that that's
Okay,
Absolutely.
no, we'll let them know. Okay.
You think Dan knows Kamala? Come on. Which one of us could get the closest to Kamala Harris to text? Get this done.
We got to get, Stu Gotts putting medals on these guys. That is the way we cross over.
I hope it happens because NCAA, it's a good way to sort of fix some past, errors.
Absolutely.
And transgressions.
And we all know NCAA has made very few errors in
Never.
their history.
I don't think
very,
they've
very,
ever-
very limited amount of errors.
I don't think they've ever done anything racially biased in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So why start now?
Okay,
right?
so we need to make some corrections. All right, again, Sports Explains the World, the Bison Project, it is on the feed there. Go check it out. It is available now wherever you can get podcasts. So, Mark Wright, absolutely honored. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you both. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
What an incredible interview.
Shout out Mark,
us.
To us.
We really know how to interview people.
Mark Wright, whatever.
Yeah. No, he was there too.
He was there, but look, did you see the questions we asked?
Oh my God.
Saw the banter,
Bro.
the back and forth, the comfort that we brought to our guests.
You know what? We make people comfortable. And at the end of the day, we deserve all the credit in the world for it.
Okay.
No, but dude, Mark was absolutely incredible, man.
Amazing. So shout out to Mark Wright. Again, go check out the Bison Project, Sports Explained to the World, the Meadowlark Media podcast. Go check it out. Just a quick note. We're
switching some stuff up on
you
YouTube.
may have noticed, it may not, but just for people who may not be aware, but we're kind of trying some new stuff out on YouTube. Just to I know some people watch the full episode. Some people might feel like, oh, this is listen.
It's a little
to
too long, maybe.
45,
so they listen.
50 minutes. Who got that kind of time?
What am I? My TV, the battery runs out. Is that how TVs work?
Okay. I got to charge my TV.
Everybody relax.
Well, with the size of tablets these days, am I right, folks?
Am I right, folks? All right.
Thank you. Here, if you want relatable comedy, go see Christian Polanco.
But what we're going to do is we're going to take each of the segments and put them up as individual videos. So they'll... you'll get a chance to sort of, hey, this subject is the one that's important. If you're a big NWSL fan, you can click on that one first. And you can sort of remix the Cooligans podcast to your own liking visually, which is pretty cool. So if you're not already, check it out. If you are a big YouTube watcher, I suggest you subscribe to the podcast, hit like on every single video, take a few days off work. Give us a thumbs up on every video. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're going to be trying a couple different things on there. Let us know what you think.
Exactly. So comment, like, subscribe. So we said, so there'll be the full video of the show. But
We're
then
almost at 10K. Almost at 10.
Dude, we're almost at 10K.
We're almost there. Help
for two guys who never really focused on YouTube, we just put stuff up there and we're like, hey, we hope it works. We were doing everything wrong. And we tried really hard these last few months. And it's really starting to bear fruit, if you will.
Exactly. So hit that subscribe button, dummy.
Yeah. But if you don't watch YouTube, don't hit that subscribe button.
Okay. So I've heard that we have to call our audience dummies to get them to
walk
subscribe.
up to your television and touch the subscribe button. Again, this is how technology works, right?
So as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, shout out to Mark Wright for joining us.
Yes.
We'll be back on Monday with a brand new episode. And as always, share the podcast with your friends. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave a review. You can do that as well. Show some love and appreciation, because that's all we do for you. Just constantly show you love and appreciation.
Now, Christian and I are going to go practice spitting gum into each other's mouths.
Okay. We have to, the competition is fierce out there. We're trying to work on our assist numbers.
That's right. Polaros is back, baby.
All right. We'll see you Monday, everybody. Peace.
Love you guys.
It's the Cooligans, buddy.